Good afternoon, everybody. I will say good morning. Anyway, how are we doing today? It is another episode of the Ready Set Grow Show with Deb and Hillary, and we are here today on this lovely Tuesday afternoon. It's a fantastic weekend, Deb. I just love when we're doing these things together.
I
Love
know,
it,
I
love it,
do
love it.
too. I do too.
And today, what we're talking about, right, for our fellow entrepreneurs and even those who just want to have a successful life, we're talking about the 7 habits of a successful entrepreneur. And we
Mhm.
say that this 7 successful habits, it actually pertains to anything that you want to do in life and in
Yep.
business, all right? Because habits are what create the new you. Okay, so you want to lose 10 pounds, you've got to get into the habit of exercising and eating right. Okay. So, we are going to be talking about these wonderful 7 habits, and we're actually going to be sharing how we've implemented them, continuing to grow in them, right, as we go through. So, kicking off, the first one is having a morning routine. And, I'm sure we've talked about this before, but having a morning routine is really important as a part of any successful life. All right. And so, Deb, you go ahead and talk about the morning routine while I give the little one a hug.
Okay. We got to have the hugs. Got to have the hugs. Um, I have had a morning routine for probably a good portion of my life. Um, when I heard Hillary and I are in a challenge, and they talk about put the cell phone down, don't pick the cell phone up. I'm like, what? That was so foreign to me because my cell phone is out in the kitchen. And a lot of times I turn it off. But if I don't, if it's plugged in, I mean, it's out there. So I'm not going to get up out of bed to go get my cell phone. I, in a sense, was raised kind of sort of in a generation that didn't know Facebook. And, so I did not get in that habit of scrolling or
Mhm.
anything. Now, since I've been an entrepreneur, I do scroll, but it's just before I go to bed. And what I'm looking for is like, did I miss anything from my team or something that I need for maybe tomorrow in the challenge or whatever, something like that. So I do scroll, but that is, and actually, my morning routine starts out with prayer, workout, and I read for personal growth. I read at least 10 pages a day. I have not gotten into the podcasts. I enjoy reading.
Yeah.
So I think that's partially why I haven't gotten into the podcast part
The
of it.
podcast. Right. And for me, I think for podcasting, because my morning routine is very similar. I wake up, there's prayer. And actually part of my prayer is a 15-minute podcast. It's a daily podcast that I have in conversation with God. So I listen to that. It's about 10 to 15 minutes that I listen to. And then I do my journaling. And if I didn't do my power list the night before, if I did do my power list the night before, then that's when I do my power list. So, like, one of the things that I did last night was the last thing that I did was I wrote out my power list. But this morning that didn't have to be a part of my morning routine. But generally, my morning routine is um, the meditative time, my prayer, um, and well, that I don't think that's part of the morning routine here. That's after. That's after you started your day. So anyway, right? But the second habit that we talk about,
Let's go Friday night and Saturday. Whoops.
you
Sorry. One more time.
don't worry, you got kids. I got kids. You got husband.
Yeah.
So the second habit, actually, in what we're talking about with the podcasting, as Deb, I heard you mention it, was the reading, which is personal growth. So the first habit is having a morning routine. Whatever that routine is, that's something that you're
Right.
doing every day. Then the next part of it, which could be added to your morning routine, is personal growth. So you should not go a day without learning something.
Right.
And you know, I'm at a time in my motherhood where I'm seeing my children learning something new every day. And I remember somebody saying that a day should never go by and you don't learn something new. And I thought to myself, as you get older, you feel as if you know everything, don't you? Don't you think that, sometimes we go through that? We go through this phase where we have our degrees, we're working and we're in our profession, and we feel like, what else is there possibly for us to learn?
But as you start to advance even past that stage, you realize the more you learn, the more you realize you haven't learned it all. There's
Yeah,
so much more.
more.
Mhm.
Yes. And I find it fascinating. Like just this morning, we were outside watering the plants, and our 2-year-old is picking up the jug. And I'm just looking at her and I'm looking to see if, and my older one says, Mom, look, she's weightlifting. Because it's clearly too heavy. It's like a milk jug that we reuse for water, for the water canisters. And it's clearly too heavy for her, but she's lifting it up, and she's carrying it, and I'm looking to see when she's going to figure out how to pour, because for us it's like, oh yeah, you just pour the water in the plant, right? But she doesn't know that, and that's her new thing, that's her personal growth. So for us it's like we have to look at it as little things. Did I learn
Right.
how to to print to PDF, right? I just taught my husband how to do that on a document. Something that you probably take for granted. Do I know how to join a Zoom from browser instead of from the app? Or do I know how to download and save a PDF? There's some things that, the little things help us continue to grow. And then obviously there, the big things. If you want to tackle a course, a training course or something, spend 15 minutes listening to one module of the course, right? So the most of these online digital courses, they're like 15 modules, and you just feel overwhelmed. All you need to do is take 15 minutes a day and listen to 15 minutes of that course, and you've done your personal growth. All right.
Right. Right.
So the third thing that we want to talk about, 7 habits, and we also heard Deb mention it at the beginning, is the healthy mind, body, and soul. All right. So inside of Deb's morning routine, you heard healthy mind, body, and soul, because I heard working out, I heard prayer. All right. And then that also feeds the mind in terms of your personal growth, right? The
Right.
reading, the reading.
Right.
So
And I forgot, I also do a gratitude journal.
right.
I have done that periodically, but since for the last 5 months, I've done it every single day, and it's just another thing to help my spirit, because it reminds me who's in charge and what blessings I have. So anyway, okay.
So healthy mind, body, and soul, it really does, because one of the things, even in that book Think and Grow Rich, I remember hearing that, where you must have balance in those
Mhm.
main aspects of your life, right? And if you're not in balance there, you're not going to see success, okay? And we find that a lot of people try to create that balance without knowing who's in charge, and it doesn't happen. It really doesn't. um so, and your body, right? One of the things that I have to work on to create as a habit is the elevated physical activity, because as a mom of 3 young ones, yes, like yesterday evening, their outside time, I was running around. I felt like I did a marathon yesterday running behind them. But sometimes it has to be more consistent than just running behind the kids. It's got to
Mhm.
be you're walking for 15 minutes, you're going to take a run or whatever the case may be, because getting into that habit of daily exercise is great for your mind, and it just energizes, gets the creative juices going.
Right, exactly. I love my workouts. Um, they do. It just energizes me. And with my morning routine, with my prayers and everything, and then the workout, I'm ready to go.
Yeah.
Although for some reason this week, um, I can't keep the day straight. It's like, I think it's like, actually, I thought it was Wednesday today when I was making an appointment, and I'm like, what are you doing? COVID did a lot of that, but I did not find myself so confused on the days during our isolation period as now that we are getting out and being more active. And my husband says it's just because we're tired of just not
Being
really.
it.
Yeah, I don't want to go back to the old normal, but at the same point, it's like, okay, anyway. So
Yes, yes. And then, that comes back to that daily method of operation as well, which is the
mhm,
fourth habit, just having one. And I like to mirror this. I am a very structured, I must have this, right? I have learned through motherhood, through marriage, that being fluid is sometimes helpful, but you still must have what are your non-negotiables. I like to
yeah.
call it non-negotiables. And just now I was looking at a little notebook, and it has the schedule, one of my daughter's notebooks in the front. And there's Monday through Friday for their daily schedule, the times they decide, just like a calendar, right? um and you to put what subjects they're going to be doing, right? That's how we do it. So it's like the timetable. I like to think of the daily method of operation as the timetable, but not the timetable that is rigid to the point where if the baby starts throwing up, you can't shift it. Okay. I like to think of the daily method of operation as something that they're non-negotiables. These are the
Mhm.
things that must get done every day. All right. So whether it's different for everybody's business, it's different for everybody's life. All right. So you have to adjust it. But that daily method of operation of how do you get things done, right? What is it that you must do to move your business forward every day, right?
And
Um, mhm.
the daily mode of operation, well, it keeps me focused and accountable.
Yeah.
I guess in a sense, a part of my daily mode of operation is my power list. And today, usually I do it the night before, but today, last night was crazy and I didn't get it done until this morning. But that's
Mhm.
okay because I got it done pretty much first thing, right after prayers and everything. But that's what it does. It keeps me focused and accountable.
Mhm.
So yeah,
Definitely.
it's a habit that just helps.
Yes, definitely. So the fifth one, valuing relationships and your environment, all right, and valuing where you are and your space, because sometimes, and this comes back to gratitude. I personally, when I think of it, I think of being grateful for the good, the bad, and the ugly,
Hmm.
because it is what has brought you and made you who you are, and where you are on your journey right now. So that I don't look at, if I don't look at COVID as a bad thing, because it has brought out so much good,
Yeah,
right? So valuing that, I value the relationships. I got to meet Deb. I got to meet Deb because of COVID, in a sense, all right, inside of the community.
yeah,
Um, I am homeschooling now because of COVID, and I'm going to learn more about my children and about myself in this whole homeschooling environment. So we have to value where we are, the relationships that we have, because we not only benefit from them, but we also give to them. One of the things that I'm all I it's amazing because sometimes you always see and value what you get, but you don't see and value what you've given, because
right.
maybe you don't even notice, or maybe you didn't even know that you gave that value, right?
Yeah.
Last night I was chatting with a friend of mine, an old school friend, And, she said she's so excited to see all the things that I'm doing online. And I was like, I didn't even know you were watching, right? So we've got to value and say thank you and appreciate that as well.
Right, right. And another way that we build relationships, and that's basically what we're talking about, are the relationships that we build, is God gave us one mouth and two ears. And so, there are moments when it's like, quiet, Deb, quiet. And usually I'm pretty good about that, but you have to keep that in mind. Why did he give us two ears and only one mouth? Because he wants us to hear. He wants us to learn about the people that we are building relationships with. Hillary and I, she's right, COVID introduced us, so to say. And I am so thankful for that because I've enjoyed her girls and I have enjoyed her. So anyway.
Definitely. So number 6, I don't think any successful person, whether it be in life or business, could be successful without this number 6, right? Which is setting
Right.
goals.
Yep.
If you don't set goals, there's nothing to measure success.
Yeah. Yeah. It's kind of like you do a vacation, which is a ways away still. That's a goal. And I'm using this because I still miss the beach and I'm trying to plan a vacation, but it's a goal. And so it gives me something to look forward to. It gives Jim something to look forward to, just to go sit at the beach. I have a laptop lifestyle and my business will go with me. But if we don't have goals, what do? We just kind of flounder. Well, I don't have anything to do today. And so you have to have goals and they have to be measurable.
Yeah, definitely. You have to be able to measure that because I always sit down and say, I'm sorry to always be coming back to the weight loss analogy. That's my thing right now. But you got to have a goal so that if you've met it and that you could measure, right? What you did it work? Did it not work? And what could you have done differently to help you attain the goal the next time you attempt it, right? Because it's not about setting a goal and it's either you pass or you fail. No, when you fail, and I say when because in life we are going to fail. When you fail, you must assess what you did, what you didn't do, and what you could do better to achieve it the next time. And then once you've achieved that goal, guess what? You get to set another one.
Yeah, that's right. And failure is the tuition that we pay for success.
Exactly.
I got that.
I love that.
Well, I got it in a fortune cookie and I have it on my dresser and I read it just about every single day. And it's true. It's like, yeah, that makes sense.
I love that. Failure is the tuition we pay for success. I hope you got that, everybody. That is a golden nugget. And the 7th habit that, we want to share with you today that you probably heard before is obviously consistency. You can have everything in place, but if you did all of these 7 things only once, you'd never be successful. It's got to be consistent. You've got to get up every day and do it and do it and do it. And you know what Ivan said, where is it? Quit trying. Do or do not. There is no try. As the great Yoda said, do or do not. All right. You've got to consistently show up for yourself, show up for those who are looking for you. And what you would realize is that consistency, a house isn't built in a day. All right. But if the builders don't show up every day, the house is never going to get built. Let's be honest. Right. So you can do every one of these 6 things that we shared, but without that last ingredient of consistency, it's like a house of cards, just comes falling down.
Right. It's kind of like floating in the boat and going nowhere. Yeah, the consistency. And I think being a nurse, I've had to be consistent when I'm taking care of a patient.
Mhm.
But in my business, I have learned, it took me a little while, but I have learned in order to be successful, you've got to have consistency. And yes, failure comes with that, but that's okay. You're consistent. You move on. You keep
Yeah.
moving.
You keep
And
going.
that's what consistency has you do. It keeps you moving,
Mhm. It
hopefully
keeps you in
forward.
action. It keeps you in
Yes.
action, and that is what, a lot of the times we want to be successful, but we don't want to do, and that's the key thing. We just don't want to do. Right?
Right.
It's not that we don't want to do what it takes. We simply don't want to do. And one of the things that I did catch this morning was that from Debbie was the employee mindset, right?
Mhm.
Of not that being an employee is bad, but it's
Right.
that mindset of just showing up and getting paid whether you did the work or not. All right.
Yeah. Yeah.
And as entrepreneurs, we do the work knowing that we may not get paid. We do the work regardless of whether we're going to get paid or not. And that's the difference with the entrepreneur.
Yeah, and I think that's one thing that people that have a employee mindset, I think that's probably what baffles them the most about us because we do it. I know what I have to do here. I know I'm not going to get paid for it. It's okay. I
It's
have
okay.
to do it. I have to pay this forward. I have to help somebody. And that is kind of difficult for an employee minded person. And again, there's nothing wrong with being an employee, but the mindset is so totally different than the
Different
way we as entrepreneurs think.
thing. And I would say that, one of the things that I wrote in my journal this morning, it was ironic that is what Debbie Samuels talked about this morning as well. But I was thinking of it from the perspective of parents. All right. We could choose to wake up and do the 7 habits, right? Whatever the 7 habits are in terms of raising our kids, we do it. And we don't know what the result is going to be. All right.
Right, exactly.
We, so it's you either show up and you do it with the belief that, okay, doing these things is going to get me the result of a responsible, productive, um, independent thinking adult, right? That's
Mhm.
that's your
Mhm.
goal. You got to do it. And you're not, guess what? You're never going to see the results until that child is probably like 25. Then when the child is grown,
And
all
by that time,
right.
sometimes they can choose their own path.
And by that time,
And,
exactly.
and you just, it's not that you were a failure. It's just they have a mind of their
Not
own.
very good. Yes, definitely.
And, yeah, and even as little children, they have a mind of their own, but we
Oh
have a little
boy.
bit of authority over it. But, by the time they're 25, not so much anymore.
Yeah, right. But you still didn't not show up. That was the point that I was trying to make. You didn't not show up as parents when your kids were growing up. So it's the same thing with your business. It's the same thing with your life. Show up, be consistent, and do or do
Yeah.
not. There is no
Yeah.
try.
It's,
Well,
it's easy to do, and it's just as easy not to do.
not to do. Yep, that's
Mhm.
the thing. Yeah. So today we shared with you these 7 habits of being a successful entrepreneur. And trust me, even if you apply it in your life, you don't have to be an entrepreneur.
Right.
But it's 7 habits that change you. They bring out the best in you. All right. So I hope we've imparted some beautiful wisdom for you today on this wonderful Tuesday. Reach out to Deb or myself. You could reach out to Deb on her page, where this is broadcasting, as well as on my page, private messages, if you want to learn more about how to work with either of us. All right. Have a great day, and we talk to you soon.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye, everybody.